and also lifestyle medicine. But my passion is in lifestyle medicine because a lot of the diseases that we have are related to our lifestyle. And especially in America, the number one killer, actually not just America now, even worldwide, is heart disease. A disease that should never exist. And if it existed, it should never continue, right? Because, we've talked a lot. As I said, I see new faces. But I've been talking almost every Sabbath about what we can do to prevent the top killer, and not just the top killer, but many diseases. How to lose weight or stay in healthy weight, how to prevent and reverse diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, high cholesterol, Alzheimer's dementia, autoimmune diseases, cancer, and many others. So every week I come here for about 10, 15 minutes and I talk about, health. As I said, I am passionate about lifestyle medicine. So as the name goes, it's actually using lifestyle, not another pill. No, you all have heard of the new pill that just came out, right, for weight loss, and everybody's going crazy. But, we're not thinking what this means in the long term. We can't just do whatever we want and take a pill to fix the issues. We cannot do that. That's not how God made us. We cannot. God made us, He gave us laws for health, how we should eat, sleep, how we should be active, our bodies need to be active. The sunlight, the free sunlight, right? How that affects us, our immune health, our heart health, our mood, our sleep, everything. So we should be going outside and getting sun exposure. And I talked about this last week, how we should use fresh air, right? How we should use nature to help us feel relaxed and decrease our stress and help us focus and give us that awe, right? You can imagine how you feel when you go to nature and you see all these different things and you're connected to God who created you. To avoid risky substances, smoking cigarettes or being around people that are smoking cigarettes, drugs, caffeine, all these things, how, to stay away from these things, right? And then sleep. Sleep is very important. And I talked about this last week, of course, not in much details, but we should be sleeping early in the night. Get at least 7 hours of sleep. I mean, for adults. For kids, even more. They should be getting 10 hours of sleep, meaning they should be in bed about 8. And as adults, we should be in bed by 10, because the earlier you go to bed, the deeper sleep you get. And that's helpful because it helps to regenerate, rejuvenate, restore, and get enough sleep. So the quality of sleep and also the length of sleep as well. Stress management is very important. Our faith should help us to be able to manage the stress, right? Knowing that God takes care of us. So we're not anxious and stressed out and know how much to do. I suffer from this as well, where I take too much and then I start getting stressed out because I can't do it all, But how do we do that? Make sure that we're not stressing ourselves up, because stress, first of all, it affects our mental health, but also our physical health, right? So these things we've known. Actually, we have known these things as Seventh-day Adventists. New Start is something we have had for so long. And not only that, Ellen White, her writings, what she talked about, especially about food, this is more than, how many years is that? She talked about basically a century ago. She wasn't a scientist. She wasn't a nutritionist, but God gave her this message. And we should, kids, please, if you can sit down. So she knew about this. God gave her this message, and we have known about this, but it's concerning to me that a lot of us are not following this message. We are not following, the health, the nutrition especially. We are eating what I call like kings and queens, right? Rich food with butter and creams and, animal-based foods, eggs, cheese, meats, all these different, animal-based foods, and then processed foods. Processed foods, they have a very long shelf life, but they're not nutritious. Too much oil, too much fats, make us gain weight, not giving us nutrients. So just not nutritious, but just leading to problems in our body and disease. So simply how to go back, especially because when I come here, I'm always talking about food because it's such a big part of our lives. We have to eat every day. I tell people it's very simple. I talk about 5 food groups. Whole grains, like whole wheat, brown rice or wild rice, quinoa, oats, millet. Legumes, second group of foods. Beans, all kinds of beans, lentils, peas, there's green split peas, yellow split peas. There's so many of them. Sometimes when I go to the Indian stores and I look at all these, I'm like, oh my goodness. Even if I wanted to sample all of them, it will take me such a long time. So there's plenty. So legumes, nuts and seeds. But I tell people don't sit there and eat roasted and salted nuts as a snack. Because what ends up happening is you eat a whole bag. Nuts are very high fat. Now, if they salted and roasted them, you can imagine all that salt you're also consuming. So I use nuts. Sometimes I just eat like a handful of raw almonds or pecans or whatever, walnuts. But mostly I use like raw cashews to make a sauce or a salad dressing. I don't just sit there and eat nuts because they're high in fat naturally. And it's very easy to overeat them, especially if you eat roasted and salted, right? And then, so that's nuts and seeds, like chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. Put them in your salads, put them in your baking, very nutritious. And then vegetables, all different kinds of vegetables, starting with green leafy vegetables and all different kinds of vegetables, and then fruits, all kinds of fruits. There's a lot of misinformation out here that fruit makes people gain weight, fruit makes people have diabetes. It's not true. The fat makes people gain weight, and the fat makes people have diabetes. So that's what we need to watch out. All that ice cream and creams and cheese and animal products come with a lot of fat. Processed food come with fats. And the fats we use to cook our home, that's where the problem is. So when you're focusing on eating these 5 food groups, which should be the foundation of our foods, try to stay away from fat, adding oils and fats to it, because these foods have natural oils and fats in them. So you don't need to add even olive oil, which is, the healthiest, really, of the oils, especially if you don't cook it. You don't want to cook it and burn it, Even the olive oil, it's not naturally appearing, so it's not a natural food. And then 14% of the oil coming from the olive oil is saturated fats, which is the bad fat. Saturated fat is the bad fat that stimulates the liver to make cholesterol. So you don't want to be just eating olive oil, making salad dressings and all these things, because it's not natural. If you had olives, you couldn't consume so many of them, so meaning you won't get a lot of these saturated fats. But if you're getting a refined oil, it's a processed food and it's 100% fat, and it's going to give you all these saturated fats. So